We're already in November. Can you believe it? And it is our 8th episode of season 4. We'd like to thank everybody who has contributed to Marketing Tip Tea Time over the years. We really owe a lot to all of our fans and all of the people who make this possible. So thank you all. We've made it so far, and it's already November. So we're already gearing up for season 5. So stay tuned, because there's going to be a lot of great things coming out of season 5 that we here at Marketing Tip Tea Time are preparing for to blow your minds for the next season. But first, I gotta say, we have an amazing guest today. Her name is Stephanie Leyva, and I'm gonna tell you a little bit more about her right after I dive into our sponsors. Whole Brain Consulting is an outsourced operations consultancy that specializes in the consumer products industry, providing solutions catered to your needs. Go to wholebrainconsulting.com for more information, and also Whole Brain Consulting. When you're typing that in, if you want to type that URL in, it's whole-brain-consulting.com. This episode is also sponsored by Color World. Color World is your one-stop shop for everything anime. Go to colorworldlive.com for more information. Now let me tell you a little bit more about Stephanie. Stephanie has worked her way to Director of Partnerships at Thematic. And I know what you're thinking. You're like, well, what's Thematic? She's going to tell us here in just a little bit. Thematic is a community supporting creators and artists, a collaborative platform where creators can license royalty-free music from their favorite music artists in exchange for promotion. We, and by we, they, Thematic, are disrupting the music licensing landscape by making the process simple, safe, and free for creators and artists. It is the only platform where creators can exchange value directly, and she's worked her way up, and we are going to interview her now. Stephanie, here she is, Stephanie Leyva. Hey.
Hello.
Hello,
Hi.
thank you. All right, so I have to ask first, tell us a little bit about, so long story short, the tea didn't make it, everyone. The tea did not make it. There were shipping issues, there were flight issues, and so Stephanie is not where she thought she'd be, but we're making the best out of it, and we have loads of tea at the Marketing Tip Tea Time office, so I've got a little bit here. Stephanie will enjoy this tea, however, the Kokicha Organic Green Tea by Rishi on Wednesday when it actually shows up.
Yeah, I'll make sure to try it.
Yeah, definitely. So how are you? How you doing? How is your travels been so
Doing
far?
great. A little bit of a struggle bus, but it's been great. It's
Yeah.
Monday, can't complain. Made it through.
Perfect. No, that's amazing. You had said when we were sort of getting the information from you, you liked a number of different teas. Green tea was one of them. I believe ginger was one of them. Was chamomile one of them as well, I believe?
Yeah.
What are your draws to these sorts of teas?
Yeah, I love ginger. I feel like it's such a great, like, detoxifying tea. And I like to
Yep.
drink the ginger tea usually after dinner, at night. So that one's definitely my favorite. Turmeric in that as well. Like I can do a
Mm.
mix of ginger and turmeric, or just the turmeric. And then green tea, because it has that little bit of caffeine
Oh
that
yeah.
I can, need or use if I don't have coffee, which I usually just have coffee most of the time. But
Yeah.
it's kind of that good in between. But definitely ginger is my favorite. And I love a honey
Nice.
ginger with
Ooh.
real, ginger just kind of sliced in there and some honey. That's definitely my favorite.
Yeah, that's actually my mom's favorite as well. She loves ginger. It's super healthy. It's like one of the
Yeah.
healthiest. Yeah. It's a very healthy thing. But right now here I have, if you remember, with Aaron Michael Reddig, who was the for those of you at home, remember he is the post production sound director at Fox Studios. This was the tea he had, and we had some left over. This is the Jasmine Green Tea Pearls. And that's what I'm
Oh,
going to be drinking a little bit of. Yeah, let's see. It's got to steep a little bit though. It's got some steeping to do. So we'll wait for that to steep there. But you know what? We're going to dive right into some of these questions and get to know you a little bit. I know a lot of people at home are probably thinking, well, what the heck is Thematic, and what can you do with that? And so we're going to get to know you a little bit and hopefully get a lot of great information out to marketers, business owners, and students are one of our biggest demographic who watches the show, and they want to know, how can they get to where you're at after college or after high school. So the first set of questions we're going to have are just real quick, like first thing that comes to your mind. And you can do a little bit of explanation, but we'll just dive right on in. You ready?
Awesome. Yeah, I'm ready.
Perfect. Uh, what are your thoughts about a potential Vine reboot?
I think as a content creator, I think it's a great idea, only because we need more areas to express ourselves. And if you're, a Viner, you might not be a YouTuber, or, you might be both, who knows? But it has its pros and cons. As a consumer, I think it's a lot. And do we really need another platform? Maybe not. Or the
Right.
platform that already existed and flopped, right? Do we really need it again? Probably not. But
Yeah.
as a creator, it's definitely helpful to have an additional platform that you can express yourself, where you might find community where you might not find it elsewhere on a different platform. So
Right.
I'm on the fence, pros and cons, I think,
Yeah.
to it.
That's great. Well, what's kind of funny is couple episodes ago, we had Jared Kleinstein, who was the director of sports partnerships at Vine when Vine was a thing. And so we just barely missed this, sort of thing
Right.
happening here. I was like, dang it, we should have had it. But
I know,
he said
right?
that Vine and Twitter were great when he was on the show. So, all right, next question. YouTube or TikTok?
Mm, I love them both. I think, again, like, I don't want to just be on the fence on every question, but they both have their pros and cons. I think TikTok
Right.
is great for beginners. I think it's great for anyone to just get started and try content creation for the first time. And YouTube is great for someone who's a little bit more developed or wants to put in a lot more work into producing these videos. It takes longer, and maybe they're a little bit more serious. So for that reason, I would say definitely YouTube. Um, a lot more monetization opportunities there. I know there's some things changing, so
Right.
it's probably all gonna, this is probably not gonna age well, but um, things are changing, and I know people are freaking out, but YouTube is still great and has always been great. It's where our beginning got started on YouTube.
Oh, wow.
TikTok didn't
Okay.
exist when Thematic got started. So for that, I love YouTube, and they're usually my first go to. And then TikTok is great. It's fun. Everyone enjoys it. So why
It's
not?
fast. It's fast. It's like sometimes
Yeah.
I'll be scrolling through and I can't even remember what the previous video was because it's the content is just so quick. Um, and I know that YouTube I feel
Yeah.
like
So
YouTube
quick.
sometimes has more staying power. Like you watch something on YouTube because you wanted to watch that thing on YouTube. Whereas TikTok, things are so fast and sometimes things are thrown in that you start to lose track of what you even consumed in the,
Yeah. There's a lot
rabbit
more
hole
of
that you
a,
fall down.
there's definitely more choosing power when it comes to YouTube, and it's a choice to watch a certain channel, or you
Yep.
search something and there's definitely that feeling of you wanted to click on that versus you just being delivered something that you may or may not be into just by the algorithm, and trying to hope and understand why the algorithm gave that video to
Yep.
you. But yeah, YouTube definitely has an immense amount of power.
Yeah.
TikTok is great, and it just continues to be fun. But it does get tiring after a while, I think, for both content creators and consumers, and just overall,
Definitely.
the attention spans just keep getting smaller and smaller.
True. True. All right. Next question. Pop, reggae, or blues?
Out of those three, I would definitely go pop.
Okay.
And only because pop right now is kind of everything. I
Yeah.
feel like you have pop, but it's kind of hip hop, but then it's kind of like reggaeton, but then it's a mix. It's changing.
Yep.
There's an evolution of pop overall right now, so I would definitely go on the pop side.
Nice.
Um,
And then just to follow up, so then what is your favorite genre if it's not listed in these three?
I would definitely say like Latin music,
Oh,
reggaeton right
perfect.
now.
Yeah.
I'm Mexican, so I listen to like a lot of banda, which is
Yep.
the regional type music. So definitely all that right now. But
Yep.
if it's not that, it's usually like an R&B hip hop.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I'm actually half. Mexican.
Oh,
So yeah, I get
awesome.
that. Yeah. So my mom's side, they're all from Mexico, and my dad's side is all from the Czech Republic. So everybody calls me Chex-Mex because it's the Czech and the
That's actually cool.
Mexican. Yeah. Yeah. So no, I get that. That's yeah. All of those are fantastic genres, but all genres kind of have cool stuff in and of
Yeah.
themselves all the time. So
Yeah, there's always some interesting artists in each genre, I feel.
definitely, definitely, and that segues into thematic. So everybody's wondering like, okay, what actually is thematic? Can you tell us a little bit about thematic and what the platform's goal is?
Yeah, so Thematic is a creator ecosystem. It's a two-sided marketplace, like you mentioned earlier. So on one end, we have content creators that are creating content. When we first started, just YouTube. Now they're creating content on TikTok, Instagram, pretty much every platform. And then on the other side, we have music artists that produce music, right? They create music and they have songs that they're releasing to the world and they need promotion. So what Thematic did is essentially bring these two worlds together at scale and on a platform that you're able
Okay.
to essentially connect a lot more quickly. Whereas before, we kind of saw this traditional model where music artists would reach out to people so that they can use their music or take a listen or stream. And we kind of took that process and made it just so that the artist does not have to go through that whole entire, reaching out process. And then the content
Mm,
creator doesn't have to, receive thousands of emails and have to sift through, what songs are great or what can I use, what can I not use. And this concept really started booming at a time when content creators started to use impactful music in their content again. I think for a long time they were scared and they were using a lot of background music. And then this kind of came at a time where they were comfortable again using real music. So
right.
all of these artists on our site are real artists. They are out in the world. They are touring. They're doing different things, emerging. We have some very, new to the industry that are just getting started. And so they really have this space where they can test out their sound. They can get in front of these content creators. And essentially, it's a marketing tool for them to market their music to influencers across social. So
Oh,
YouTube, TikTok, I
okay.
mentioned, Instagram. And so it's really a marketing tool for them. So on one side, it's that. And then for the content creators, it's a platform from these in a safe way. All created Beef Talk existed. So the methods of how content creators were actually using music were very different to what they are now.
Yeah.
Creators did not feel comfortable using, let's say Drake or whatnot, because there was really no way to do it without getting copyright claimed or without
Right.
actually seeing it in front and sourcing it like they do now with TikTok when they just click on the sound and then it drops down and you just get to select, all these different thousands of songs. They didn't have that at the time, and YouTube really didn't have a music on their library. It was very basic.
Yeah.
And so we came in and kind of filled this middle spot that allowed them to essentially do what TikTok is kind of now facilitating, but at a time where that didn't exist, and then also doing it through a license.
Yeah.
So it's safe and it carries through with the content creator and doesn't just, allow them to use it. It actually allows them a license, which is what makes us very different from you just using it on Instagram or TikTok. That's just facilitating the use. It's not necessarily a license for the song.
Right. That makes sense. So, would you say then that thematic is more of a platform for the artist or more of a platform for the content creator slash influencer, or is it kind of like both? Because it sounded like it was more of like, okay, the artist can really get in front of people. I'm just kind of curious to know which one maybe is more has more of a push on your platform, or if it's equal.
Yeah, I would say we try to keep it as equal as possible so that both sides are growing at the same velocity. So what
Right.
we don't want obviously is like millions of artists and then small amount of content creators, because then you just have a problem of too much
Mm,
music and not enough people using it. And then on the other
right.
end, if you have too many creators, maybe we don't have enough music. So we try to kind of balance it out at at all times. Obviously, it's going up and down all the time,
Yeah.
but I would say they're pretty equal.
Okay.
And we always want to make sure that that's equal so that it's a value for the artist. So it's very important for us that, our goal on the artist side is to make sure that they have promotion and they get heard in these videos and they're able to be discovered through content.
Right.
And so on that end, it's very important that we do have the right, essentially the right balance so that they get placed in videos and they actually see a return on that. And we do share that all. We're pretty transparent. They have an awesome
Right.
dashboard. And so they get to see that and they can see that platform actually working,
Right.
and not just let me just give out my music for free and then see what happens. It's actually, given all the information is given to them and they can see what's going on. And then we definitely encourage them to contact the creators and really engage in the community. So
Okay.
definitely balanced, I would say. And then on the content creator, our goal is always to keep them safe. More
Mm,
platforms are popping
yeah.
up. We were talking about the reboot of Vine, and that's all great and
Yep.
dandy, but more platforms means more problems with music, more areas where creators are, susceptible to new issues happening with their content, with their brand, and with so many other things, right? Monetization as well. So that's always very important for us to make sure that they're safe and they can monetize their content, because at the end of the day, their goal is to make money from their content. So we
Right.
try to
Yeah,
keep it
exactly.
balanced. Yeah.
Wow. So, okay, I do have a quick question here. So I know that, like, for example, the the stinger that you saw and the music in the background, we have a license for that. Yet YouTube every once in a while throws up a copyright flag on that intro, on that stinger and the outro. And so that's something that Thematic would like sort of take care of, or what's that? What's that
Yeah,
whole? Because
essentially.
it's super annoying that like we have the license, we use it, and then every like 3 to 5, like once every 3 to 5 videos, YouTube's like, oh nope, sorry, yeah, you can't use that.
So yeah, it depends on the type of license that you have. There's so many nuances that I feel like I could definitely go into in a different episode titled more of like rights management, music management, right?
Right.
A little bit different, but there's so many nuances when it comes to the platform. So the platform is very important of where you're publishing, right? So like YouTube, they have a system what songs your content beforehand, so you can pretty instantly. Instagram, not so great. They're using the Meta, Facebook, rights management. It's
Right.
still very new, so it's not as advanced as YouTube's. TikTok, still getting there as well. So it kind of, you have to know what platform you're posting to first and also see what kind of license you have, because that's going to really
Right.
determine what you can and can't do. And then you have to see if, do you have a license of one song license per one video, or is it for multiple videos, or is it across different platforms, which that's usually an
Yeah.
issue that happens with content creators. If they are licensing one song, it's just a one license per one video. That means that every single time you upload a video, you're going to have to download the song or create another license every single video so that it can
Okay.
actually integrate with that video. What we do is
Okay.
completely different. We license it for the person, so they're able to use it in as many videos as they'd like, so long as that they're following the directions.
Wow.
So anytime you download a song, if you want to use it in 10 YouTube videos, you can. You can use it without having to keep coming back and grabbing the license code and all the information. We integrated it very seamlessly, I like to think, for the content creators so that they don't have to continuously keep referring back to their license number or the paperwork or
Yeah.
anything that they have to, pull from any of the sites. But yeah, we do have that fully integrated, which makes this a little bit different. And then we
Wow.
also pre-clear. So this means that you don't run into the issues of having to dispute that claim like you guys are now with every 5 or 6 videos. Because we pre-clear and we built that all into our system, our technology does that all automatically. So as soon as
Wow.
you pull the license from our site and you're uploading, we already do all of that on the back end. So you don't have to worry about that claim happening.
That's crazy useful. Because I
Yeah.
know that a lot of like I guess music markets that are out there where you can purchase licenses and do all these things. There's this disconnect between, okay, I have the license, but then when I upload it to YouTube or the platform, there's nothing connecting
Right.
like nothing's telling YouTube I have the license to that. Nothing's telling TikTok, like nobody's saying that. So that is an
Yeah.
immensely useful tool for any content creator, I think. I mean, that just takes
Yeah.
the guesswork out of it, for sure.
Yeah, it makes it a lot easier. And because we were built from, on the YouTube system, we built with that in mind first, with the YouTube content
Wow.
creator. At the time, they were the only platform that was doing monetization, right? Now, Instagram has it through Reels. TikTok now has a version of that too with creator funds and all these other things. But at the time, YouTube was the only one doing it. And so we built it with that in mind first. So that's why the system just flowed so nicely. And then now we had to obviously integrate through these other platforms and figure out ways on how to do that.
Yeah.
Where, with YouTube, it was very easy because they do have a great system that just is able to essentially track and monitor all of that. But yeah,
Okay.
you do run into that issue when, depending on the music libraries that you're using, what systems they use in place, on their admin side and how they process that. If they have direct access to YouTube the way that we do, if they're integrated in that way, there's so many nuances to it, of course, because music is just very complicated,
Oh
or
yeah.
music rights, I should say. But and also just who's also managing kind of the customer service side of it, which is very important too, because that's a piece of
Right.
how you are, integrating your license in a video, and then you dispute that, and then on the other end you have the customer service rep or whoever on the team. If that person is not really aware of what's going on with these platforms, they might take longer to release your claim, or they might not
Right.
respond, or they might place the claim again, not realizing that you're a user of the platform. So there's all these things that have to
Gotcha.
integrate very nicely in order for this kind of to all happen very smoothly.
Right. So speaking of people working in this area, you are the director of partnerships at Thematic.
Yeah.
Can you tell me a little bit about what that role means and then what your journey looked like to get to that role?
Yeah. So direct partnerships in Thematic, I think it varies every single. Additionally, it's just specifically working with the partners on our platform on the music side, working with the labels and ensuring that the artists are onboarded correctly and that they have the right tools that are needed to kind of get through the process, educating on the rights management, educating them about the YouTube platform and things like, we're talking about now, and going through that process. Also working
Yeah.
with emerging artists, independent artists, and pretty much anyone on our artist community side. And then for the content creators, working with those management companies that manage all these influencers and content creators, also to ensure that they're having a safe space on the platform, that they know how to use the
Yeah.
product. If they don't know about Thematic, how to get them onto the site and help them with, awesome music. So that typically is kind of the main areas that I work in. And so I do a lot of, reaching out to new companies and sourcing new emerging platforms that have content creators or music artists, or where they're living, where they're sharing, kind of where they're at, and really always immersing myself in all of that and trying to get them, to understand about Thematic or learn about us or kind of come over and try it out.
Right.
But then also working with emerging technology, so platforms like Laylo, who are a drops platform, and companies that are awesome, in my opinion, and where we can essentially help each other in this, content creator space, in this creator economy. And so working with companies like that and seeing how we can integrate with our products so that we can make our product better and also make it a lot more seamless or bring new features to the site through these, partnerships. So
Right.
I do a little bit of everything. It's kind of like the thing when you're at a startup, right? You got to just kind of
Yep.
get in there and try it. But through all of that, it's made me kind of really understand what I like, what I don't like, and the areas that I really enjoy about my job.
Yeah.
But it's a journey, right? There's different things that I've done. And when I started here, to kind of go back into my journey, when I started at Thematic, I started as a believe in operations coordinator. So I was just really more so a team supporter. I was just here kind of
Mm.
going through the flow and kind of understanding everything when it came to rights management, music. That was the time where I really came in and just understood kind of the business and what it was to work at a startup, what it was to essentially, um, you know, be in this creator economy before it was the creator economy. So
Right. Yeah.
kind of understanding all of that and really learn. That's the time I really took to learn from my coworkers. And I was in a lucky enough position that I got to report directly to our COO and our CEO. So at that time, I was
Wow.
just very much under them, just kind of absorbing everything and learning and really trying to understand the flow of content or music through content and kind of both sides. What are the pros and cons? What do artists want, or what do content creators want?
Right.
And then from there, just naturally, the company was growing and I was able to kind of move my way up to community manager, which at the time was also a very new role, which is kind of interesting. I know now this word is like so big and everyone's talking about community and community managers. And at the time, that didn't really exist. So when this role came up, we kind of worked on this title together. And
Okay.
so, they were taking what I was already doing and what I loved doing, which was being in front of the community and developing these communities and content creators and music artists. And so we took that kind of together and we figured out a title that kind of made sense, which now is obviously an awesome title to have. And it's a very well-known title. But at the time, I really didn't really know what like community manager meant. I just kind of
Right.
went into it and then developed it as time went on. And that was also a time where I got to really grow both sides of the marketplace. So that's when I really jumped in and found like all these amazing companies and labels, independent labels, um, were, on so much know with it. Didn't know how to get their music artists in front of these new audiences or didn't have the money really to do it. They weren't backed
Right.
by, giant labels where they had, $50,000 budgets, $15,000. They're really just starting off trying to understand kind of where they should head. And so I was really
Yeah.
immersing myself on that. And then on the content creator side as well, just super interested in getting all these cool content creators that just had this amazing content, but were essentially lacking great music. They had
Mm.
all this, great content and vlogging was starting to take off at that point. But then, you had kind of this lackluster background song and you were watching the video and you're like, oh, okay, this could have been better. And so I was really
Right.
getting myself into that world and trying to educate that market to, how to use music and do it in the right way or do it, properly so you don't run into
Yeah.
issues down the line. Um, so that role really took on more of that. And then I also was, front and center with our customer service. So I was also able to see on the other end the problems that they were having, or how to improve the way that we go about, our process and making sure that what they were, telling me or the issues they were having were really taken into consideration when building out new features or the product.
Right. So it sounds like
Yeah.
a lot of this was essentially knowing the market and paying attention to each side of the platform, each demand side, and having good mentors and being sort of
Yeah.
lucky to work with the people and showing up and having an open mind and learning,
Yeah,
and not
definitely.
and being flexible is sort of what that whole journey sounds like.
Yeah, I agree with all of that. I think at the time, again, I was so like new to the space.
Yeah,
It really took a lot of open-mindedness and being
right.
flexible with each of these things. At any point, I could have been like, okay, this is definitely not what I want to do, but I allowed myself to kind of just go through it and
Yeah,
see what was kind of like holding its hand up. Is there something that
that's
I
great.
was very interested in? Is there something that sparks something that maybe another part of the business didn't, right? And so I really was able to kind of be flexible with that. And I was still, early enough that I could make mistakes that, maybe now that I wouldn't make, or maybe would be harder to make now. But at the
Yeah,
time, if I didn't like something, it was okay to not like it and push
right.
through it and kind of just still go through the flow. And definitely having great mentors. I cannot stress that enough. And talking to your mentors, or indirectly, they were my mentors, right? And
Right.
talking about what you like and figuring out what you don't like and bringing those things up and having a good team really is what kind of helped move me along a lot quicker, I think.
That's
The
amazing.
team part is very important because you want to feel comfortable enough to talk about your goals. And I want to say, like, with us, we've always been a very close team that we talk about our goals openly, our
That's
personal
great.
goals, and
Yeah.
kind of just anything really is kind of open. So we can just kind of go at it, and not in a bad way, kind of just go through it and
Right.
talk about it and get kind of an opinion on, hey, what do you think I'm good at? Or what do you think
That's
I'm
awesome.
bad at? And kind
So
of
it's that
figure that out.
it's like candid feedback back and forth, and that you all sort of trust each other enough
Definitely.
to be vulnerable in those conversations, but not in a way that I guess gets emotional or people get upset, but it's all about growth.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's like super important. So, though, I've done so many things and I've had a chance, or I've kind of had my hand in every piece at this company.
Yeah.
It's been a journey. It hasn't been maybe as long as it has for others when they come into like a director role. But it's definitely, I've definitely had a journey with all these different roles and understood every piece, which I think is very important to understand, where you're working at and kind of what you like and don't like. So that helps you
Right.
also move a little bit quicker.
So what's the most interesting part of your current role now?
Yeah, I think now I love new tech or new tools or new, young, early stage or whatnot. I love discovering these new tools to help our community. So that's what I'm really interested about right now. And that's kind
Right.
of
Learning,
the area
growth
that I'm,
mindset,
yeah,
learning. Yeah, for sure.
yeah,
Wow.
it definitely finding these new platforms that are maybe, gonna help our content creators in one a small way, and figuring out how we as Thematic can benefit from that or help their community by, helping ours, and kind of that area is really what I'm interested in. I've always kind of loved discovering like new tech. I'm a huge, just like constantly what's new, what's out there, which is what I love about just tech in general, and
Yeah.
startup in general. But yeah, so right now, definitely focused on finding these new technologies, new platforms, new ways to kind of make Thematic better and make Thematic, allow Thematic to keep growing and innovating into this next phase of the
Right.
creator economy.
So you essentially want to be on top of trends, and you want to be in the market. You want to know what's happening so that you can watch out for future things coming up for your clients, and sort of like steer the ship, I guess, in a way where
Yeah,
where you know it's coming. That's really cool. And so,
yeah,
through
definitely.
all this, I mean, there's probably a pretty obvious answer that you'll give. But what are some of the biggest pieces of advice that you can give to a marketer or a creator to get in front of more eyeballs? What have you seen to be successful through how you've been, working and and managing clients?
Yeah, I think for anyone creating content, I think the main piece of advice I could say is to definitely just try things. Being open-minded, we
Mm,
talked about that earlier, but just trying things, especially now with how content is being consumed so quickly. It's important to just try things because one day you might think this thing sucks and someone else out there really loves it. But as quickly as they're consuming, they're also quickly changing their, consumer behaviors and kind of all of that. So you want to
right.
make sure that you're constantly just testing different things, trying it out, and just seeing what works. If you're having fun doing it, just do it. And you might find community out there that likes that. So especially with the marketer to, trying different platforms, trying different things, that new techniques that could help, if you're working at a startup, don't be afraid
Yeah.
to try it and see how that kind of works. I'm a big tester. We like to test things a lot at Thematic. So we'll have features that we're like, okay, we think this is going to be great. And then we'll just put it out there and we'll just let it be. And like, we'll just measure and see what's going on in the community, or we'll throw it on our Discord server and we'll say, what do you guys think
Right.
about this? And we'll just test different things out, which I think is very important. So in content
Nice.
creation, testing things out until you can find you through content, I think is very important.
Nice. And I have just one last quick question that is related to that. Is you said measurement, which I think is maybe a key to the
Yeah.
testing, because a lot of people will test but then never know what really worked.
Right.
What are the ways that you see are the best ways to measure and figure out, like, oh, this was successful, this wasn't? How do you do that?
Yeah. I think with content, there's a couple of different KPIs, right? Like impressions, views are important, but they're not everything. Comments, engagement, saves, all of that, right? Shares with TikTok.
Yeah.
So it's good to kind of have an idea of what each platform offers if you're just going through their measuring, their KPIs through those platforms. Like Instagram has their dashboard and TikTok. Throw up a spreadsheet. We're big on that too. Put in a couple of key items that you're watching out for. Put the
Yeah.
date that you posted this, what the concept or the overall theme of this video or photo or whatever you're posting is. So if it's, me walking my dog, let's say, putting up an overall theme so you understand what was the purpose of the video. So you must know obviously what the purpose of the video is or what you created,
Got it.
and then measure that. So, obviously views aren't everything. They're important when you're measuring what's working and what's not when it comes to things like, I personally think, durability is more impactful than views. You can have
Yeah.
lower views and you can have people that are sharing your content, or you can have a lot of comments of people just excited about what you posted. And I think that is a bigger area to watch than necessarily views.
Right.
That can just be the algorithm. It's not necessarily the only thing.
Right.
So when it comes to our platform, obviously we have a tech site. So we can't measure necessarily like, oh, how many people commented on this feature, right? But
Right.
we can measure it through impressions, or we can measure it through how many people used this product, or how many people
Right.
within this certain time frame, discovered this. And so we have all these different areas that we're tracking constantly to understand, if this test worked. And then a time period is very important, right? So how long are you going to test?
Yeah.
When it comes to content, you can't, especially with TikTok, you can't say you're going to test your video for a month because that's just not, it just
Yeah.
doesn't function, right? Maybe give
Yep.
it 48 hours and see what happens in those 48 hours, or give
Nice.
it a week, or if you're on YouTube, right, give it a couple days longer. So
Right.
knowing the platform, tracking that time interval, and then kind of having a spreadsheet and figuring that out, and then
That's awesome.
going from there, seeing what works, thumbing it up, thumbs down.
That's awesome. There's actually one last little thing in here that I'm gonna throw into to to this show, and that is that one tool that we've adopted recently, which Jared Kleinstein, who I talked about, was on a previous episode, he invented a platform called Gondola. And Gondola allows you to upload your content, like the URLs, and it keeps track of all the metrics in a centralized location for you. And you can actually do artist attributions in it,
Okay.
and like influence attributions and all sorts of stuff. And so that's been something that could also, I think, help. It's helped us with measurement, because before, measurement was like really hard, especially with the timeline thing. You're
Yeah.
like, oh crap. But it has its bugs that they're working through, because it's like hot out of the oven. It's like so fresh.
Oh, nice. I'm definitely going to try it.
Yeah, go try. I think it's gondola.cc is I think what the website is. But yeah, it's great, and we're gonna have to go check out Thematic here as well, because I think that's gonna be something that really, really helps a lot of creators, and could help us as well. I mean, we have a lot of content creation, and it's sort of difficult sometimes for us to, be disputing all these things with YouTube and TikTok and Instagram all the time. So, I'm very thankful that you've come on the show today, Stephanie. We've been so grateful. You had a lot of great advice, and we learned about a fantastic platform that I didn't even know existed. And hopefully our audience got a lot out of this, and they're going to go check out Thematic. I just know it. Everyone, go check it out. And is there any last piece of advice you'd like to give everyone before we sign off and cheers and thank everyone?
Yeah, just have fun doing it. I think the whole essence of content creation is to enjoy it and have fun. So
Nice.
if you're enjoying it, keep trying it and keep going, and eventually something will happen.
Oh, fantastic. And how do we get a hold of Thematic? How do we get a hold of you? How do people get involved?
Yeah, you can go over to hellothematic.com to go to our site. You can hit us on socials at hellothematic everywhere. For me personally, it's at Stephanie Leyva _ everywhere as well.
Nice. Perfect. Well, thank you so much, Stephanie. We have had a fantastic show with a ton of great information. We call it Spilling the Tea, and Stephanie definitely spilled the tea on specifically Thematic and music partnerships and music licensing, and how creators and marketers and influencers can get an upper hand in not only sourcing this music, but also engaging with it. And you said you had a great dashboard, so all the metrics, all the KPI. This sounds fantastic. And we have a few people we'd like to thank. Again, thank you to Whole Brain Consulting and Color World, our sponsors for this season. Thank you to also Bike Shop Agency, who is our technical producer, Josh French, who is our producer up in the studio, Phil Van Drunen and Peter Romero, who are our graphic and music supervisors, Alyssa Youngval and Sheridan Youngval, who are our graphic artists. And thank you to everyone who watches the show. We love you so much. We are headed up and up and up. I'm telling you, we are getting more and more views on YouTube, more and more listens on podcasts. And please, everyone, if you can't make it during the awkward 2:22 p.m. on a Friday time that we usually do this live, please watch it afterward. You can watch it on your TV, you can watch it on your phone, you can listen wherever you're at. And we want to see you here. We want you to comment, and we want you to submit people that you think would be a great guest on our show for season 5, which we are programming here in December. So everyone, thank you so much, and until next time, Stephanie, thank you. We loved having you on the show. Nostra Vi, everyone. Cheers. Thanks.